Assassin's Creed has gotten worse. Now, this is a sentiment echoed by fans and critics alike, but is it true? Or is it just people being hyperbolic and nostalgic? Well, in this video, I aim to find out. So without further ado, let's discuss whether Assassin's Creed has truly gotten worse. There have been a few instances of people saying Assassin's Creed got worse, but the first major one was back in 2014. The Xbox One and PS4 had just come out, and we had two new Assassin's Creed games on the horizon, that being AC Rogue and AC Unity. Ubisoft had decided to release two games this year because AC Unity was for next-gen consoles, while AC Rogue was for old-gen consoles. This was kind of a make-or-break year for Ubisoft, because if these games were good, it would solidify them in a new generation of consoles. So did Ubisoft succeed? No, they did not. Unity was completely broken on release, and while Rogue ran fine, it had a short story and was meant for last-gen consoles, so it largely got ignored. And if you think people are being harsh and cynical, just take a look at this image. That essentially sums up Assassin's Creed as a whole in 2014. So 2015 rolls around and we get Assassin's Creed Syndicate. The game receives lukewarm reception, but it doesn't sell nearly as many copies as Unity or Black Flag before it. Fans appreciate that the game isn't buggy on release, but people are just kind of getting sick of the Assassin's Creed formula as a whole. Ubisoft realized they needed a big change in order to keep the Assassin's Creed franchise afloat, after their reputation had been dented. In 2016, Ubisoft did something they hadn't done since AC1. They took a year off. This made people hopeful that Ubisoft will put more effort into the next entry into the Assassin's Creed franchise. This also made people think that hopefully this game will be the one to turn the franchise around for the better. And turn the franchise around it did. A year later, in 2017, we got Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, this game changed a lot of things about the franchise, for better or for worse. On the one hand, the Land of Egypt was simply spectacular, and the combat system was refined and made it so that one-on-one encounters could actually have a challenge. On the other hand, parkour and stealth were heavily stripped back, and these were staples of the series before Assassin's Creed Origins. Ubisoft had taken what people like to call the Breath of the Wild approach, whereby I could climb pretty much anything. While in the other games you had to think about gripping handholds, in this game you just simply hold X and walk up to a wall. It really was not complicated at all. However, I suppose this kind of made sense because Egypt in Origins really didn't have too many big cities. It was mostly desert landscapes. So the parkour system was great for climbing a mountain, but not really great for climbing around the likes of Alexandria. And while the stealth system had been stripped back from Unity and Syndicate, it was overall very much less buggy. Despite people criticizing this game now for birthing the RPG trilogy, at the time this game had insane success with critics and fans alike. Also, I didn't mention this game's story, but it's great. It has a 30-hour long story, but it really allows you to get invested in the character of Bayek. Overall, this game was a great entry into the series, and it overall reminded people that Assassin's Creed could be fun again. However, problems start to arise with the next entry into the series, and that next entry was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. This was definitely one of the most divisive games in the franchise. On the one hand, critics like IGN gave it glowing reviews. It even got nominated for Game of the Year alongside games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, and God of War. However, core fans felt it heavily deviated from the series' roots. This game was definitely the most polarizing entry in the franchise thus far, and it further solidified the two sides that had formed the Assassin's Creed fanbase. 2 years later, in 2020, Assassin's Creed Vallhalla releases. It gets pretty good reception, but it doesn't fix the problems that core fans have with this series. Ubisoft tried to make a game that appealed to the old fans, but the old Assassin's Creed elements were very surface level. For example, elements like crowd blending and hidden blade stealth were very sidelined and only useful in specific sections. Furthermore, Ubisoft decided to advertise this game with no XP boosters just to add them in later for the good press. So yeah, this game was trying to appease all Assassin's Creed fans, but ended up appeasing none of them. So that brings me to Assassin's Creed Mirage, a game that came out relatively recently. Now, people like to say this feels like an imitation of old Assassin's Creed, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. In my opinion, this game succeeded pretty well in bringing the series back to its roots, so to speak. But I do think there were a few oversights when making this game. For one thing, I think it was kind of a mistake to keep Valhalla's engine for this game, because I really think Mirage could have benefited from some better animations, character models, etc. But then again, this game was meant to be a DLC for Valhalla, so it's kind of understandable, and it was also not sold for the full price $60 or $70. So yeah, I think Ubisoft really prioritized the old fans of the series here, and I think it succeeded pretty well for them. However, going forward, this is not going to be a trend. Ubisoft is going to stick to making the open world RPGs the series is known for now. We have games like AC Codam Red and AC Hexe on the horizon, with no talk of making any other games that'll be similar in style to this one. So this brings me back to the question, did Assassin's Creed truly get worse? Well, the answer is a little bit more complicated than I initially thought. Some people will say that everything after AC Revelations was a travesty, while others will claim the RPG games are the peak of the entire franchise. But which camp do I fall in? Well, as some of you may know, my favorite Assassin's Creed game is AC Origins. However, I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan of the RPG games as a whole. I thought Odyssey was good as an open world RPG, but in my opinion, it swayed from the roots of the Assassin's Creed franchise way too much. And I thought Valhalla was a pretty big letdown for me in many ways. The open world was empty, the game was bloated, the story was mediocre, etc. After Assassin's Creed Origins, my two favorite games would probably be Black Flag and Brotherhood, with those two being pretty tied for me. So it's not like I'm exclusively on one side of the camp. That being said, it kind of feels weird being a fan of both new and old Assassin's Creed games, because I have YouTube comments saying that the old Assassin's Creed games feel like bad GTA games, while I have other comments saying things like everything after Black Flag is a complete travesty. So yeah, it really feels like the Assassin's Creed fanbase is really divided. But I am pretty optimistic about the next entry in the series, that being AC Red. The concept of an ancient Japanese setting mixed with a story about assassins is a really cool idea to me. I'm kind of skeptical about Assassin's Creed Hexe on the other hand, because from what I'm hearing, the game is focusing way too heavily on mythical elements, which I don't like. But who knows, maybe the rumors are false. I also just want to quickly touch on Assassin's Creed Infinity. Now, if you didn't know, this is basically going to be kind of like a hub for all Assassin's Creed, and it's going to be kind of something that comes out with AC Red. Now, upon hearing this might sound great to you. However, with Ubisoft being Ubisoft, me and a lot of other people are worried this is going to be monetized out the wazoo. But hopefully it's not as monetized as much as people think it will be, but only time will tell. But circling back to our original subject, I do think in some cases Assassin's Creed did get worse. Like for example, the jump between 3 and 4, Brotherhood and Revelations, 4 and Rogue, etc. But overall, I think Assassin's Creed has kept up its steam pretty well over time. In my opinion, Vallhalla was a pretty big disappointment, but I think Mirage was actually pretty good and a refreshing experience for the series. But then again, I'm kind of scared for the future of this series. We have a whopping 5 Assassin's Creed games confirmed in development, and I'm worried Ubisoft is stepping in over their head. It's very easy for Ubisoft to get destroyed by greed. It's happened many times before, like with AC Valhalla's microtransactions, AC Unity's poor launch, etc. Not to mention, Ubisoft is renowned as one of the most greedy companies in the gaming industry as a whole, so it would not be a first if most of these games are flops, but I'm hoping that Ubisoft can pull through. Like I said before many times, I love this series and I want to see it succeed, but it seems that Ubisoft is just using this series as a cash cow and they want to milk it as much as possible. For example, why do you think we got so many Assassin's Creed games announced? Well, it was because around 2020 to 2020, Ubisoft lost 38% of its market share. So what did they do in the face of desperation? They went back to a very old and reliable cash cow, that being known as the Assassin's Creed series. But as much as I'm complaining about this series, I love it. It's one of my favorite video game series of all time. I really hope Assassin's Creed Red will be good. But then again, now it feels like everyone has their own Assassin's Creed. Some people's favorites are Assassin's Creed Odyssey, other people's favorites are Assassin's Creed Black Flag, other people thought the Ezio trilogy was the peak of the franchise, etc. This makes the Assassin's Creed franchise probably one of the most hostile franchises ever. But just remember, even if we quarrel about which Assassin's Creed game is the best, it doesn't really matter because we all love Assassin's Creed as a whole, whether it be the new games, the old games, or the games in the middle. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up my Did Assassin's Creed Get Worse video. I hope you guys did enjoy. This video took me a while to make, so it would be insane if you guys could like and subscribe. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one with more Assassin's Creed content. Bye guys.